What's going on, everybody? Almost Counts Collectibles here, and in today's video we're going to be talking about modifying one of these original Mighty Morphin Auto Morphin Green Rangers. Now, the figure I have here in front of me, I have already tried different things on, and I think I finally figured out exactly what I want to do and what I want to modify to make this figure look more show accurate, much like the picture I'm going to put up right here to the left of the screen. I want to make it look more like the original Tommy. I want it to be more show accurate and be a nice display piece. So I thought to myself, how can I do that? Well, I did a little bit of research, and I decided, after seeing certain suggestions and other things that people had done, I was going to try and paintbrush on all of the modifications with good acrylic paint. So I bought everything that I thought I would need: the brushes, the paint, even some little cotton swabs to help me with little mistakes and this, that, and the other. And I thought if I took my time, it would turn out pretty well. However, I soon discovered that it's a lot harder to paintbrush on paint, especially on action figures, than I thought it was going to be. So I've done a lot of paintbrushing on this particular figure, and I'll show you exactly what I've done in just a second. But after the end result did not turn out looking very well, mainly because I couldn't get the paint to go on evenly enough. I had to put it on so thick to cover up certain things that it just didn't look good. And it was taking way too much time, and I didn't want to spend any more time or effort on it. So I decided, if I can't paintbrush it on, maybe I can just spray paint it on, and I'll be able to do it a lot faster, it'll go on a lot smoother, and I'll be good to go. So I went out and got some spray paint. Now, oddly enough, I got these giant bottles of spray paint for the exact same amount as a tiny bottle of acrylic paint. So the cost is the same, if not cheaper, doing it the spray paint route. So I will show you real quick exactly what I've done with both on this particular figure. So starting off, I wanted to, of course, add the gold bands to the arms. I wanted to add gold bands to the top of the boots and the top of the gauntlets. I wanted to color in the holster black. I wanted to color in his morpher gold. I wanted to get rid of the emblem on the chest. I wanted to color in all of the screws on the back of the figure green to blend in with the figure. I wanted to color the little green peg on the back of his neck here white so that it blended in with his little neck brace that goes under the helmet. And I ultimately wanted to color in all of the white joints up here on the shoulder, the joints right here at the elbow that were completely white, and I even want to color in the joints right here at the top of the boot to make them all green so they actually match the rest of the costume. So what I did was I started painting on some gold bands on this side. I painted on a couple different layers of green on the joints here to get it to cover all of the white. I painted on some black acrylic all over the holster and around the back of the morpher. I then colored in the morpher face with some gold, and I put a lot of white paint. It took several layers to cover up the emblem. However, the problem with the acrylic paint is, and I am a complete amateur, I had never really done it before, I am not a painter. If I knew exactly what I was doing, I might have been able to make that work and even look good in the process. But I wanted to accomplish modifying this figure without taking a lot of time, a lot of money, and really a lot of skill or effort to do so. I don't want to learn an entire new skill of painting just to modify an original Green Ranger. So after the end results of the acrylic paint were not what I expected and did not look good enough to actually attempt on a brand new figure, I figured I only had one more option. I was going to try and spray paint it on. Now, the main problem I had with the acrylic paint is, of course, I couldn't make it look good. I couldn't make it go on smooth enough that it looked smooth all around everywhere. It was very uneven. The problem over here with the joint, not only did the green color that I could find that was close not really match, so it's a little too dark, but it had to go on so thick that when you then manipulate the joints, it scraped the paint right off after a couple of movements. So I didn't want to do that. The holster didn't turn out too bad. This current one I've already gone over with some spray paint on top of the acrylic paint, but you could see when you zoomed in real close that it had imperfection and was uneven in a lot of areas. So the chest was probably the biggest issue. I had to put so many layers. It was so thick and clumpy that it looked terrible. So what I ended up doing with the chest is, and what I'm probably going to try with the new figure, is I ended up taking a rag with some warm water and I tried to wipe down, because the acrylic paint that I used is wash cleanup. So I thought if I rubbed it hard enough, I could get some of that excess paint off, maybe get it back down to a smooth surface. And when I did that, the emblem actually came off with some of the paint. So I thought to myself, if it comes off that easy, maybe I'll just try wiping off the emblem somehow without making any major paint modifications to the diamond. So in order to get the rest of the paint and the rest of the emblem off, I took a tiny bit of 100% acetone nail polish remover, lightly dabbed it all over, and after a couple wipes, most of the paint that I had put on and all of the emblem wiped completely off. Now you'll notice that there are smudges of white paint everywhere. That's my fault. That's from all of the excess white paint that I put on here. I'm hoping that with a new Legacy figure, they did it the same way. They put a nice base coat of white and the diamond is already there, and then the last thing to go on is the emblem. So I can hopefully, if I'm careful enough, put enough acetone on here to just remove the emblem real quick and leave the white diamond remaining. So that's what I'm going to attempt when I do the actual Legacy figure. Over here on this side, I actually spray painted on a band. I did it very quickly. I put 2 pieces of tape and 1 base coat of the metallic pure gold that I'm going to use, and it turned out quite well. So I think if I take my time, tape it off correctly, put a couple of nice coats on there, these bands are going to look very good. Now with the joints on top, on this side over here, I did 1 little layer of the acrylic paint, but after this joint was a complete failure on the elbow, I did not finish this one because it's probably going to look terrible and scrape off anyway. However, on this side with the spray paint that I used, and the green spray paint that I got, here I painted some of this broken leg, it's almost an exact match to the little doors on the chest and the back. Now these are slightly lighter, and it's pretty much an exact match to those. But the rest of the green, it is just ever so slightly a tiny bit lighter. But I'm not going to be painting over any of the original green. I'm just going to be painting in the white joints. And it actually looks quite well. If you'll see right here, I did this elbow probably a couple hours ago. I taped it off. I probably could have done a better job taping it off, but I taped it off real quick and put a quick solid coat on there. It came out very even and smooth. It looks outstanding, and it's on there thin enough that when I actually move this arm around, it doesn't scrape it off. So I'm going to do the joints with the spray paint method. So that's going to turn out quite well. I did the spray paint up here on the joint up here. However, and this was a trial run, so I know this now, there's a little imperfection on the part of the arm right here, right there where it meets the actual joint. There's a little piece of plastic sticking up. Now you can't really see it that well. It's right down inside of there. So when I take these arms apart, right here at this opening, I am going to ever so lightly file down so that there's enough gap between the arm and the actual joint so that there is no rubbing, so that I can color in these joints, color in these joints. I'm going to take the leg apart and paint these white pegs that go up into the leg up here so that they blend in green, and get rid of all of these white joints like you see back here in the background that should not be white. So we're going to do that. We're going to paint on the armbands. We are going to take out all the screws and paint them. I put green acrylic paint over all of these screws. It actually turned out pretty good, but I'm going to spray paint all of them. The white peg right here on the back, that's actually green. This little peg raised part right here on the back of the neck, I put some white acrylic paint on it and blended it in. But to be completely honest, on the Legacy figure, I'm not going to worry about that little peg, because you're really not going to pay much attention to the back of it anyway, and it really doesn't bother me that much. When I take this figure apart to do the actual modification, instead of doing the black around the morpher and the gold on the front, I'm just going to mask it off and do the whole thing gold like the Auto Morphin White Rangers is. I'm going to try to leave the little red power coin just to kind of leave something on there as like a throwback. You know, I'm going to leave the power coin red. At least I'm going to try to. I might end up painting the whole thing gold, but that is my goal. I am going to try to remove the chest emblem, add the bands to the arms, to the top of the gloves and the top of the boots. I'm going to paint the holster black. We're going to paint the morpher gold. We're going to paint the joints and blend them in green. And if it turns out well and the figure looks good like I think it's going to do, I will then modify all of the accessories. So we're going to paint the dragon shield. Now, I don't mind these old dragon shields. I think they look fine. But the actual pure reflective metallic gold look that it has going on, that plated gold, I think it'll look much better once I paint it. I think it's going to look more like the actual picture up here. Much similar to the way that my band right here on my arm right here looks. So we're going to paint the dragon shield to match that band. I'm going to paint the blaster, so I'm going to put a good base coat of red and then try to add a little bit of silver to match the Lightning Collection blasters. After we do that, I'm going to modify the dragon dagger. Now I'm going to shave down the actual blade just a little bit so that it actually fits well inside of his holster. I'm then going to give it a good base coat of black. And then I'm going to repaint like a metallic silver around the blade. I'll see what that looks like. I might try to go further in depth and customize it even further, but hopefully the black and silver makes it look a lot better, and I might just leave it at that. But we'll see what it looks like after I'm done with those certain modifications. So this has just been my quick video about what I'm planning on doing with this action figure. Once I'm done, I will give a great detailed description of exactly what I used, how I did it, and show you the end result in case you're thinking of doing the same thing, so you don't have to waste your time and money trying all these other avenues. Now, once again, I'm a complete amateur at this. This is my first major modification, really modification period, to a type of action figure. If I was more skilled in painting or other things, I probably could have done this a lot painlessly and a lot better. But I'm just going off of someone's skill that's never really done this before and doesn't have much skill in the area of painting or any kind of modification like this. And we're going to see what it ends up looking like. So maybe you, if you don't have any skills at all, you can do the same thing. And hopefully it turns out well. So stay tuned. That video will be coming probably within the next couple of days. But I will definitely upload the video so you can see what it actually looks like when we are done with it. And hopefully it looks awesome. So stay tuned, everybody. And until next time, I will see you next video.